Girl, let me ask you something. Have you ever sat there, staring at your phone, rereading old messages, convincing yourself he must be busy? Maybe he's just overwhelmed. Maybe he's bad at texting. Maybe he needs space. But then you see him online, liking posts, watching stories, living his life like you don't even exist. And that's when the pit in your stomach grows. Because deep down, you already know the truth. You're just too scared to admit it. If he wanted to, he would have. A man who wants you doesn't leave you wondering. He doesn't take hours to reply while being active everywhere else. He doesn't cancel plans last minute while making time for everything else in his life. But here you are, making excuses for him, defending his absence, convincing yourself he's different, that he's just figuring things out. Girl, let me tell you something. You don't need to decode a man's intentions. A man who truly wants you makes it obvious. He calls. He shows up. He prioritizes you. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. And if he's not, that's your answer. Welcome to Girlify Mind, where we don't chase, we don't beg, and we don't wait around for a man who isn't choosing us. Today, we're cutting through the excuses, the overthinking, and the false hope. It's time to face the truth. If he really wanted you, he would have. Let's get into it. Stop justifying his inconsistency. Let's be real. A man who wants you doesn't suddenly become too busy. He doesn't take hours or days to text back. He doesn't disappear without explanation. He doesn't leave you wondering where you stand. Yet here you are, making excuses for his lack of effort, telling yourself he's stressed. He's overwhelmed. Maybe he's just not a phone guy. But deep down you feel it. You know something's off. Because when someone truly wants you, you don't have to wonder. Think about the early days. When he was excited about you, did you ever have to question his effort? Did you have to convince yourself that he cared? No. He made time. He showed up. He wanted to talk to you. But now, you're left waiting. Waiting for him to call, to text, to prioritize you. And the worst part? You're doing all the emotional work for him. You're filling in the blanks, creating a version of him that doesn't exist anymore. But here's the truth. If he's making you question his intentions, he's already given you his answer. His inconsistency is the answer. So stop justifying it. Stop pretending it's something it's not. The moment you accept that real interest doesn't come with mixed signals, the sooner you stop wasting your time. Because if he really wanted to, he would have. If he wanted to call, he would. Let's stop pretending. We live in a world where people check their phones every few minutes. No one is ever too busy to send a text or make a call. If he wanted to talk to you, he would have. But instead, you're left waiting, wondering, watching his online status, seeing him post on social media, reply to others, but ignore you. And yet, you tell yourself, maybe he's just not good at communication. Stop. A man who is interested in you doesn't leave you in limbo. He doesn't make you question whether you're on his mind. He makes it known. Think about this. Have you ever seen a guy in love struggle to text back? No. When a man truly wants a woman, he finds a way to reach out. He doesn't forget. He doesn't make you feel like an afterthought. So if you're constantly wondering, constantly waiting, constantly checking to see if he's responded, he's already given you your answer. If he's not calling, it's not because he forgot. It's because he doesn't care enough to. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you stop wasting time on someone who isn't choosing you. If he wanted to commit, he would. Let's stop lying to ourselves. When a man truly wants a woman, he doesn't hesitate. He doesn't tell you he's not ready for a relationship while still expecting your loyalty. He doesn't say he needs time while keeping you around as his emotional backup. But here you are holding on to potential, believing that if you just love him harder, if you just prove you're patient, if you just wait long enough, he'll wake up one day and realize you're the one. Girl, let me tell you something. A man who is serious about you doesn't need convincing. He doesn't string you along while figuring himself out. He doesn't make you feel like a placeholder while he explores his options. You've seen men commit to women they met after you. You've seen men go from not ready to engaged in 6 months. And that's because when the right woman comes along, commitment isn't a struggle, it's a decision. So stop making excuses for why he won't claim you. If he calls you his best friend but won't make it official, he's keeping his options open. If he tells you he loves you but won't give you a title, he enjoys the benefits without the responsibility. If he makes you feel like you're waiting for him to be ready, he's choosing himself over you. The truth? Men don't fear commitment. They fear committing to the wrong person. And if he isn't committing to you, that means he doesn't see you as his forever. And if that's the case, why are you still here? A man who wants to commit doesn't leave you questioning. He makes it known. He makes it clear. He makes it official. Because if he really wanted to, he would have. If he wanted to prioritize you, he would. You are not an option. You are not a side thought. You are not something he fits into a schedule when it's convenient. A man who values you prioritizes you. Not when it's easy. Not when he's bored. But every single day because he wants to. Yet here you are, accepting the bare minimum. You're making excuses for why he cancels plans last minute. You're telling yourself it's okay when he only sees you when nothing better is going on. You're just happy he's showing up at all. But girl, when did that become enough for you? When a man truly wants you in his life, he shows up. You don't have to remind him to call. You don't have to beg him to make plans. He doesn't disappear for days and then come back like nothing happened. He prioritizes you because you matter to him. Think about this. Have you ever seen a man too busy to watch a football game? Too tired to grab drinks with his friends? Too stressed to scroll through social media? No. Because the things he truly cares about, he makes time for them. And if he's not making time for you, it's because you're not on that list. So stop accepting last-minute plans. Stop adjusting your schedule to fit into his. Stop shrinking yourself just to get a little bit of his time. You deserve more than being an afterthought. A man who truly values you won't make you fight for a spot in his life. He will make room for you effortlessly. Because if he really wanted to, he would have. If he wanted to respect you, he would. Respect isn't just about how a man talks to you. It's about how he treats you when no one is watching. It's about whether he values your time, your emotions, and your boundaries. But let's be real. How many times have you let things slide? How many times have you ignored the feeling in your gut that told you something wasn't right? How many times have you lowered your standards just to keep the peace? A man who respects you doesn't leave you second-guessing his intentions. He doesn't flirt with other women and call it harmless fun. He doesn't make promises he has no intention of keeping. He doesn't expect you to tolerate behavior that he wouldn't accept from you. But here's the truth most women don't want to hear. Men will treat you exactly how you allow them to. If he constantly cancels plans last minute and you keep saying, "It's okay," he'll keep doing it. If he speaks to you disrespectfully and you let it slide, he'll do it again. If he knows he can ignore your boundaries without consequences, he will. Men don't change because you love them harder. They change when they know that if they don't step up, they'll lose you. So stop waiting for him to magically grow into the man you need him to be. Stop making excuses for his lack of respect. Stop thinking that if you just prove your worth, he'll finally start treating you better. Respect is not something you earn. It's something a man either gives you willingly or doesn't. And if he isn't giving it to you, that's your answer. Because if he really wanted to, he would have. Stop giving him chances he hasn't earned. Let's talk about second chances. Or third. Or fourth. How many times has he let you down, and how many times have you convinced yourself he'll do better next time? How many times has he promised change, only to go back to the same patterns once he knows you're not leaving? Stop handing out chances to a man who hasn't done anything to deserve them. You think you're being patient. You think you're giving love a fair shot. But what you're really doing is teaching him that he can treat you however he wants, and you'll still be there. A man who knows you won't leave will never change. Because why would he? He has no reason to. He knows that no matter what he does, you'll stay. So he keeps lying. He keeps disappointing you. He keeps making empty promises, knowing that all he has to do is say the right words to keep you around a little longer. But let me ask you something. When is enough enough? When do you stop choosing potential over reality? When do you stop believing in the version of him you created in your mind, instead of seeing the man standing right in front of you? A man who truly values you doesn't need endless chances to get it right. He doesn't risk losing you to learn how to treat you. He either respects you from the start or he doesn't. And if he doesn't, stop waiting. Stop hoping. Stop believing that if you just hold on a little longer, he'll finally become the man you deserve. Because if he really wanted to, he would have. The second you stop chasing, you start winning. You know what happens when you stop chasing a man who doesn't value you? You win. You win back your peace, your confidence, your self-respect. You stop overthinking, stop waiting, stop hoping for a man to wake up and suddenly see your worth. Because the truth is, if he needed to lose you to realize your value, he was never meant for you in the first place. But here's where most women go wrong. They think that pulling away is a game. That if they ignore him long enough, he'll come running back. That if they make him jealous, he'll finally see what he's missing. No. That's not the goal. The goal is to stop needing validation from a man who has already shown you that he doesn't see your worth. The goal is to shift your energy back to yourself. Think about it. Imagine if all the time you spent stressing over him, replaying conversations in your head, and wondering what you did wrong was spent on you, hitting the gym, growing your career, spending time with people who actually care, looking and feeling your best, not for him, but for you. The moment you stop chasing and start focusing on yourself, your entire energy shifts. And suddenly, he's the one who notices. He's the one who wonders why you're not texting anymore. He's the one checking your stories, looking for signs that you still care. Because nothing is more powerful than a woman who chooses herself. And when you do, you stop attracting men who need convincing. You stop settling for half-hearted love. You start demanding more, not with words, but with actions. Because when a high-value woman stops chasing, she doesn't just get over him, she levels up. And that's the moment you realize if he really wanted to, he would have. Conclusion: choose yourself first. Let's make one thing clear. You were never asking for too much. You were just asking the wrong man. Because the right man, he wouldn't make you question your worth. He wouldn't leave you waiting, wondering, overanalyzing every little thing. He wouldn't make you feel like a burden just for wanting effort, consistency, and commitment. The right man wants to be there. He makes time, not excuses. He makes you feel wanted, not tolerated. He doesn't breadcrumb you with half-hearted effort while expecting you to be loyal and understanding. So if you've been sitting around, waiting for a sign, waiting for him to change, waiting for proof that he truly cares, this is your sign. It's time to let go. It's time to stop waiting. It's time to choose yourself. You see, women are taught to be patient, to believe in potential, to stick it out because maybe he just needs time. But let's be real. How much longer will you wait? How many more excuses will you make? Ask yourself this. Has waiting ever made him want you more? Or has it left you feeling drained, insecure, and emotionally exhausted? Because the truth is, a man's lack of effort is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of his priorities. A man who truly values you doesn't need time to figure things out. He doesn't risk losing you just to see if he really wants you. He doesn't keep you as an option while waiting for something better. And if that's what you've been dealing with, then the answer is clear. It's not love. It's self-betrayal. The second you stop chasing a man who isn't choosing you, your entire energy shifts. You take your power back. You start focusing on yourself, your happiness, your goals. And do you know what happens next? He notices. He wonders why you're not texting first, why you're no longer checking in, why you've stopped making him the center of your world. And suddenly, he's the one feeling the loss. But by then, you won't care, because you'll have done what you should have done a long time ago. You chose yourself. And when the right man comes along, you won't have to wonder. You won't have to chase. You won't have to fight for his attention. Because if he really wanted you, he would have.